With the release of Ready Player One in cinemas this week, I thought it would be a great opportunity to have a look back at some of Steven Spielberg's earlier works, notably Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which was released back in 1977. As always, there'll be some spoilers ahead, and if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, please click the link below and leave me some comments. Steven Spielberg has become a filmmaker of a generation, with being responsible for some of the biggest hits in the 70s, 80s and 90s. Which of course all started with his work on Jaws in 1975, which became the first blockbuster. I first became aware of his work with Jewel, which used to be shown late on a Saturday evening when I was a kid. And of course the Indiana Jones series with Raiders of the Lost Ark and E.T. And of course Jurassic Park, which was a massive hit in the early 90s. Close Encounters centres on Roy Neary, an electrical engineer who's called out late one night during a power outage and has a strange experience with lights in the sky. The role of Roy was played by Richard Dreyfuss, who'd appeared in Jaws in 1975. You'd assume that he got the role because of his part he played in this, but actually he lobbied hard for the role, and Spielberg needed some convincing that he was right for the part. Douglas Trumbull provided the amazing special effects, and of course the movie score was done by John Williams. Cast members included Melinda Dillon and Carrie Guffey. They play mother and son, Gillian and Barry, and Carrie Guffey's performance in this is remarkable. Steven Spielberg labelled him as One Take Carrie on set and even had a t-shirt made up with it on. Some of his reactions are priceless, and I particularly love the scene when the toys start coming to life in his bedroom.
The shape of a square if you really want to find it. So look with care for the shape of a square. Look all around. Can you find it? Okay, now let's look around for a square.
Melinda Dillon came onto the project fairly late and was later nominated for Best Supporting Actress in the Academy Awards. The scenes with her and Barry during the abduction are particularly harrowing, and I would have said were probably the most scary scenes in the movie. This is where Spielberg shows how much of a master filmmaker he is, using simple techniques such as matte paintings and lighting rigs, and he really pulls the performances from his actors. They look truly terrified during this scene, and I certainly remember being very scared while I watched it at the cinema when I was a kid. Following a team of scientists who are investigating strange phenomena around the globe is Lacombe, who is played by Francois Truffaut, a French director in his only starring role. Steven Spielberg really wanted to work with him, and they follow strange phenomena such as Flight 19 that disappeared in 1945, as well as the Cotopaxis, a ship that disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle and ended up in the Gobi Desert. The film then moves on how each of the individuals is affected by their visitation. Roy has strange visions and can't get an image out of his mind and just wants to create them. This leads to tension within his marriage. It's later discovered that the government are covering up the location of the alien contact site, and this is the visions that Roy and Gillian are having, and they're later allowed to attend the first contact. Surely what's got to be one of the very first Easter eggs. Williams and Spielberg sneak in the Jaws soundtrack into this conversation, and even Richard Dreyfuss looks surprised by it. Close Encounters is one of my favourite films of all times, but it's not perfect. It does suffer within the last 35 minutes. This is due in part to Spielberg being forced to release the film because Columbia Pictures were on the verge of bankruptcy, and the film saved them. The issue for me is that there's no consistency between the aliens at the end. Little girls played them initially coming out of the ship with the long fingers, but you can quite clearly see that these are in rubber suits. This is due in fact to some of the limitations of the time. Mind you, we should be thankful because I do believe that they played with monkeys on roller skates as one of the options. Then there's the long-limbed alien that comes out at the end. It's the puppet by Carlo Rambaldi that really sells it for me, and I really think this is what they should have gone with. Apparently Francois Truffaut used to come and say good morning to the puppet every morning because he was so enamoured with it. And I can see why. It is truly amazing and very charming. Because of the success of the film, Steven Spielberg was given additional money to release the special edition back in 1980. This is one of 3 versions of the film: the original theatrical cut, the special edition, and the collector's edition. The special edition is the only version of the film that shows these shots of the interior of the mothership, and this is where he spent the additional $2 million that he was given. This is the version of the film that I remember very well when I was a kid. I actually went to see it back in 1980, and I remember everybody talking about how you could see inside for the first time. Looking back at it, I can understand why Spielberg took it away for the collector's edition, because it doesn't add anything to the ending of the film. It's just a bit of spectacle. It's very hard to be negative about this film because of the nostalgic nature for it for myself. However, I did go and see the 4K re-release recently, and I found it to be a very emotional experience, a truly spectacular film. And this has been released on UHD 4K for its 40th anniversary, and I'd highly recommend everybody has it as part of their collection. The film needs to be preserved for future generations, and has been recently awarded a cultural phenomenon. Close Encounters is an amazing film, and I can't say that enough. It's part of my childhood, and I think it should be part of everybody's. Thanks for watching my channel, guys. Give us a little share, like, comment or subscribe to my channel. I really look forward to hearing from you, and it's a pleasure to share my reviews with you.